My name is Raj Lahari, and this is Islamabad School of Excellence. Today, I'm going to discuss IELTS speaking test, like how to prepare for your speaking test. Before we start, first of all, I would like to share uh, band descriptors. What are the four main criteria that examiners check and this then they give you score on your performance in the speaking test. First thing that the examiner will check is fluency and coherence. You must have communicative ability, and your speech should be logical and coherent. Second thing the examiner will check will be lexical resource, that you should use here phrasal verbs, idioms, and you should have a fairly good command of English vocabulary. And the third factor, which is very important for your speaking test, and the examiners will especially check, the third factor is grammatical range and accuracy. You should be able to use different grammatical structures, and you must be able to use them with um, accuracy, like fairly accurately. You should be able to use those grammatical structures. And fourth point is pronunciation. These four factors are the key factors. Number one, fluency and coherence. Number two, lexical resource. Three, grammatical range and accuracy. And number four is pronunciation. These four factors are very important in your speaking test. Now, speaking test, total time for this test is 11 to 14 minutes. And test parts, there are three parts. Part one, introduction and interview. That is, it lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. The examiner introduces himself or herself and asks you to introduce yourself and confirm your identity, which you will have to show to the examiner by saying, here it is. The examiner asks you general questions on familiar topics like home, family, work, studies, and interests. Then part two, it's individual long term, which is for about 3 to 4 minutes. The examiner gives you a task card or cue card, which asks you to talk about a particular topic and which includes points you can cover in your talk. You are given 1 minute to prepare your talk and are given a pencil and paper to make notes. You talk for 1 to 2 minutes on the topic. The examiner may then ask you 1 or 2 questions on the same topic. Part 3, that is two-way discussion, 4 to 5 minutes. Here the examiner asks further questions which are connected to the topic of part 2. These questions give you an opportunity to discuss more abstract issues and ideas. And the examiner can ask 1 or 2 questions about opinion or attitude, such as children should play video games or not, or art galleries should be free to hold exhibitions. So here you'll have to, number 1, express your opinion, and number 2, you will have to justify your opinion as well. Now, skills which are assessed in the speaking test, they are a wide range of speaking skills are assessed, including the ability to communicate opinions and information on everyday topics and common experiences and situations by answering a range of questions. The ability to speak at length on a given topic using appropriate language and organizing ideas coherently. The ability to express and justify opinions and to analyze, discuss, and speculate about issues. Examiners will check marking, as I've already started. In the beginning, I have shared what are the factors which are very important in score. Number 1, there will be fluency and coherence. Number 2, lexical resource. Number 3, grammatical range and accuracy. And number 4 is pronunciation. And assessment criteria can be found on www.ielts.org criteria. Now, how will you prepare? What should be your approach? Well, how to prepare for speaking test. The structure of the test I've already shared. There are three parts. Part 1, 4 to 5 minutes. Part 2, 3 to 4 minutes. And part 3 will be 4 to 5 minutes. Part 1, introduction and interview. Part 2, that will be, you'll be given a topic and you'll have to speak about that topic for 2 minutes. And part 3 will be two-way discussion. The task tests your ability to perform these functions. Number 1, provide personal and non-personal information. Express and justify opinions. Make suggestions. Speculate. Express a preference. Make comparisons and discuss contrasts. Summarize. Relate personal experiences. Analyze. Repair conversation and paraphrase. Procedure of the test is the test is conducted by one examiner. The CAE test, there are two. One is the assessor, the other is the interlocutor. But there are two examiners. One will ask questions or conduct the test. The other one will be sitting there and it will be assessing. But in the IELTS, there's one examiner. He will ask questions, and the same examiner, he or she will give you that score as well. So he or she will ask questions, all the questions, and assesses you. And the test is recorded. But you should not be worried about the recording because that is done for the examiner. And if you apply for recheck, there must be some proof and something that they can check. You will be taken to the examiner's room, where you will be asked to sit either opposite or at right angles to the examiner. The examiner will then switch on, or he will record it on or the recorded device, or these days usually cell phones are used for recording. Marking, I've already shared Fluency Increments. What is Fluency Increments? Like being able to keep going, to talk at a normal pace, normal rate, without unnatural pauses and hesitations. Being able to link ideas and language together clearly so the examiner understands you, what you are saying. Similarly, Lexical Resource. Now, this Lexical Resource is your command of language vocabulary, lexical words. There are 12 lakh words in English. You cannot learn all of them, but you must have fairly good command of English vocabulary. Having the vocabulary which enables you to express yourself while talking about both familiar and unfamiliar topics, or being able to get around any vocabulary gaps without hesitation. Next factor is grammatical range and accuracy. Being able to use a variety of grammatical structures appropriately and making as few grammatical mistakes as possible. Being understood despite making grammatical errors. Next, pronunciation. Being able to use English pronunciation features like stress, intonation, elision, contractions, assimilation, know and not causing the examiner any problem in understanding what you are saying. The examiner will give you a score from 1 band score to 9 for each of these factors, and then the average will be calculated. So marking is a bit tricky and it's technically a bit difficult. Then they are converted into one final band score between 1 to 9. Now, part 1, introduction and interview, 4 to 5 minutes. The examiner will introduce himself or herself and confirm your identity. He or she will then ask you a number of general questions about yourself to try and make you feel relaxed, comfortable. You may be asked about your home or studies, then you'll be asked 1 or 2 more sets of questions on familiar topics, such as your interests, your country, your family, or type of things you like in various categories, such as food, clothes, holidays. And the questions come from an examiner frame, like predetermined questions. So the examiner will not necessarily follow up questions based on what you say. The more questions that are asked on a specific topic, the more difficult they tend to be. However, you do not have to express a point of view or justify it in this part. Some typical question prompts might be like, oh, what's your name? Introduce yourself. What do you do? Where do you come from? What is your home like? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your job or studies. Is there anything you dislike about your job, or is there anything you dislike about your studies? Tell me about a film you have seen recently. Do you have a pet? What kind of food do you like? And how often do you go shopping? What is your favorite festival? Why? How do people celebrate this festival? So that will be part one. Such question will be on. How to do part one. Number one, listen to the question carefully so that you understand what the examiner is asking. And give full answers to the question, if possible, but don't anticipate related questions. For example, if you're asked where you live, a suitable answer would be I live in a hilly area in a village just outside Murray called Sumbul. Not I live in Murray. It's a really nice town with quite a large population and lots of fancy restaurants. It's a lovely place to live in the hilly area. I have lived there for 10 years, as this sounds like a prepared answer. And the examiner's next question might be, what's Murray like? Don't give one or two word answers, as the examiner can only rate you on what he or she hears. Make sure you relate what you say to what the examiner asks. For example, examiner, do you like reading? You. Your answer will be, yes, I do, but I don't get much time to read these days. How to prepare for part one? Make a list of possible topics you could be interviewed, such as your home, your country, your job, your interests, your school, your family, food, festivals, clothes, books, films, transport. Write questions for each of your topics and get a family member or friend to ask you the questions or put them on your cell phone. You can record them on your cell phone and test yourself responding to them. Record yourself answering the questions and listen to see how you're doing. Make sure you know all the vocabulary necessary to talk about these topics. Practice the pronunciation of new words. Think about the language that will be useful, ways of expressing likes and dislikes, linkers like even though, unless, tenses to talk about the past and present and your experiences. I have never been to Europe. I went to London for a holiday in 1998. But try to prepare these and record them and then listen to yourself and see how you are doing. Part two. Here you'll be given a topic and you will have to speak about that topic. The examiner will ask you to speak about 2 minutes, and you'll be given a topic. There's a card on that card. There are prompts or there are some points. You'll be given a pencil and paper. You can take notes, and then you will speak about it. And once your preparation time is up, 1 minute, then you will start speaking. And you may be asked one or two follow-up questions on the topic as well. The topics that are given in task part two are of general interest, general nature. You'll be asked to describe things such as restaurant you enjoy eating in, a book you have read recently, or a piece of equipment in your house you cannot live without. You will be asked to relate what you are talking about to yourself. Say why you choose to eat in this restaurant, or say what you enjoyed about the book. For example, describe a restaurant you enjoy eating in. You should say where this restaurant is, what kind of menu it has, what other features it has, and explain why you choose to eat there. The part gives you the opportunity to show that you can speak at length without hesitation. It is also important to show that you can recognize your ideas, you can organize your ideas coherently. How to do part two. Read the topic card carefully. Use the preparation time wisely. Make sure you understood what you need to talk about. Jot down a few points to answer the prompts on the topic card. Don't waste time writing sentences. Don't write on the topic card. Make sure you answer both parts of the topic card, description and explanation. Make sure you answer both parts. Similarly, organize your talk by following the order on the card. You can take notes on the card. Make your talk as interesting and as lively as possible. Refer to your notes as you talk, expanding each point you have. Make sure you use examples from your own life. It is much easier to talk about more fluently about your own experiences. Try to expand your sentences using linking words such as like, however, although. Don't use words like moreover, thus, which are normally used for writing. Don't hesitate for too long. Talk about anything related to the question rather than nothing at all. Try to relax and enjoy talking about yourself. Don't worry about the time. The examiner will stop you when your time is up. Also, don't worry if the examiner stops you before you have finished. You will not be penalized for not concluding your talk. How to prepare for part two? Using the topics you have thought about for part one, take them one at a time and time yourself preparing for 1 minute and talk about them for 1 to 2 minutes. You can record yourself while talking on these topics, and then you can play the recording and listen to yourself and see how you do. Part three will be discussion, two-way discussion, another 4 to 5 minutes. It will be discussion which examiner will ask you questions here. Part three, that is 4 to 5 minutes. And in these 4 to 5 minutes, the examiner will ask you questions. You will have to answer those questions. You will have to speak. You will have to justify. So, and topics are more abstract issues. You could, for example, be asked to talk about people's eating habits, diets, fast food, or genetically modified food as a thematic link to your talk on restaurant part. Like if the topic was restaurant part two, there may be 1 or 2 questions about that. So examiner can start discussion in the examiner can start discussion. He could start discussion. She could start discussion in several ways. Uh, Tell me what you think about, or what in your opinion is, or how would you compare. You may be asked to relate the topic to a situation in your own country, that is Pakistan. You will be expected to be able to express your opinion and give reasons in this part. And it's an opportunity to demonstrate your fluency as well as the range of your vocabulary and grammar, syntax. You will also be expected to use language to clarify your meaning and repair any breakdowns in communication. The questions will increase in difficulty slightly as this part of the test progresses. The examiner may begin by asking you to describe something and then move on to ask you to compare, evaluate, and speculate. How to do part three? This is the most difficult part. Remember, there is no right or wrong answer. The key is communicative ability. Keep talking. Don't be afraid to say what you think about a topic. Try to give interesting responses to the examiner's prompts. Show your ability to express abstract ideas and support your opinion. Don't get stuck. Don't show hesitation. Don't show any reluctance. Demonstrate a willingness to give extended responses. Don't give one word answers. Try to repair any breakdowns in communication by getting around a word you can think of or don't know by using other words to express your meaning. Give yourself time to think by using expressions like I haven't really thought about this before, but how to prepare for this? Think about abstract issues related to the topics that you have done in part one and two. For example, school, teachers, qualities of a good teacher, learning styles, qualifications versus experience, face to face tuition versus online courses. Make it a habit to read English language newspapers and watch the news reports and listen to radio to keep up to date on everyday topics. Try to listen to or watch a program which interviews a person like Hard Talk on BBC. I like Freed's appear GPS improvement. That's a bit tough, but you can watch any channel and that you like. Think about the language which will be useful, language of comparison and contrast, language to express opinion and give reasons, language to speculate about the future, language to discuss the hypothetical, like conditional sentences. Try to take a current affairs issue every day and list all the vocabulary you would need to talk about it. Think about your opinion on the issue and think about opposing views. Find someone else doing the test and practice discussing current affairs topics, especially in relation to Pakistan. General tips for speaking. Number one, try and talk in English as much as possible. The more you practice, the better it will be, because you will have to gain fluency. For fluency, you need to practice. Remember, the more familiar you are with everyday English, social English, the more fluent you will sound. Make sure you're familiar with the structure of the test. Listen to as much English as you can. Watch TV, English TV channels, listen to English radio, and watch films. Talk aloud to yourself and record yourself. During the test, your appearance may have an unconscious on the examiner, so dress neatly and arrive early. Sometimes examiners get ahead of their schedule. Try to look confident. Don't fold your arms. Don't sprawl your legs. Don't talk too loudly. Don't laugh loudly. But you can smile and maintain eye contact. Keep an eye contact because eye contact in conversation that matters. So keep eye contact with the examiner, especially in part one and three. In part two, you can see from your notes on the cue card. Don't speak to the recorder. Sometimes when the examiner records, people they start to don't focus on the examiner and don't worry about being nervous. Everybody's nervous during the test. Don't say to the examiner, I'm nervous. Don't show your weakness. Just stay cool, calm, composed, and keep trying. After 1 to 2 minutes, will be normal. Remember, speaking fluently does not mean speaking quickly. Don't be afraid to correct yourself if you make any grammatical mistakes. And sit, maintain an erect posture. When you enter your gate, confident walk, walk confidently, maintain erect posture, maintain eye contact, voice should be louder, and maintain eye contact, smile, enter with a smile, leave with a smile. When you enter, say good morning, or at 12 o'clock, good noon, after 12 o'clock, even if it's after 12:15, you will say good afternoon. But in the evening, never say good night, because that is when you go to sleep. That is parting salutations. So don't say good night, good evening. Even if it is like in the evening after sunset, you can say good evening. And try to be polite, attentive to the examiner, and speak a lot. Speak a lot. Like never answering yes and no or 1 or 2 words. Always answer in a complete sentence and add another sentence to it. So that is how it will work. And I can share some questions with you, which the examiners may ask. For example, what's your name? Where's your ID? First thing the examiner will check, you must take your ID with you or the letter that you're given and your passport or CNIC. Some of the examples, for example, the question can be about weekends. How do you usually spend your weekends? Why? Which is your favorite part of the weekend and why? Do you think your weekends are longer enough? How important do you think it is to have free time at the weekends and why? Part two, it can be about somebody, your favorite teacher, or any your favorite person, or a child in your family, or a place, or a person. For example, I can share one topic. You describe someone you know who does something well. You should say who this person is, how you know this person, what he usually does or she does, and explain why you think this person is good at doing this work. You'll be given 1 minute, and then you will speak about it for 2 minutes, and then part three will start discussion topics. Examiner can ask some questions, such as question can be about skills or abilities. For example, what skills and abilities do people most want to have today, and why? Which skills should children learn at school? Are there any skills which they should learn at home, and what are they? Which skills do you think will be more important in the future, and why? Similarly, about salaries for skilled people, there can be some questions. Which kinds of jobs have the highest salaries in your country? Why is this? Are there any other jobs that you think should have high salaries? Why do you think that? Some people say it would be better for society if anyone got the same salary. What do you think about that and why? Some more questions I can share. What is the meaning of your given name? Does your name affect your personality? Tell me something about your hometown. What are the differences in accent between your hometown and this city? What is the character of the people like in your hometown? What is people's favorite food in the region where you live? Are there any traditional festivals in your region? Tell me something about a local festival. How have weddings changed in recent years? Describe a traditional wedding ceremony. How do you usually celebrate birthdays? Are there any traditions concerning the birth of a baby? How do you like this city? Like compare this city with your hometown. What places do you like in your city? What places in your city should a foreigner visit? If you had the choice, where would you choose to live in? Which parts of your country would you recommend to a foreigner to visit? Which is the worst place you've been to in your country? Who takes the greatest responsibility for bringing up your child in your family? Which is the best place you have been to in your country? Who is your favorite musician? Who is your favorite writer? How many siblings do you have? What do you do in your free time? Is there, do women still have too heavy a burden in their day-to-day life? Do you agree with the private education? Have recent changes affected your job in any way? What can be done to improve education in rural areas? How do you see yourself in 10 years' time? If you had the opportunity to change your job, what would you do instead? If you had 1 million rupees, what would you do with it? If you could start your life again, would you do anything differently? Do you have any ambitions? Which country or place would you most like to visit? What will you do if you fail in the IELTS test or if you don't get a good score? Describe your family. Do you have a large family or a small family? How much time do you spend with your family? What do you like to do together as a family? Do you get along well with your family? Are people in your country generally close to their families? What do you do? What are your responsibilities? How many hours do you work each day? Do you enjoy your work? Is there some other kind of work you would rather do? If you could change your job or profession, what would you do? Describe the process of getting a job in your country. Describe the company or organization you work for. What is your position? What do you like about your job? What do you dislike about your job? Describe your education. What kind of school did you go to as a child? Did you go to a co-education school? What was your favorite subject? Who was your favorite teacher? What is the education system like in your country? Do you think your country has an effective education system? What are you studying now? What is your area of specialization? Describe your hometown. What is special about it? Where is your hometown located? Is it easy to travel around your hometown? What is it known for? What do people in your town do? What are the main industries in your hometown? What problems you face? What are the three major problems in your country? And compare your hometown with another city. What are some environmental problems? What is the weather like in your country? Does the weather affect your mood? How do rainy days make you feel? What is your favorite season of the year? Or what do you like to do when it is hot? What do you usually do in the winter? How many seasons does your country have? Describe your home. So many topics can be transport, magazine, library, favorite person, the happiest day in your life, the saddest in your life, your last birthday, brain drain, global one, like a lot of topics. You can prepare about those topics and prepare essay topics as well. Discuss those topics, and they could also be helpful in part three. So here, accent, pronunciation, other things are important, but the most important thing is communicability. You must have non-stop ability of speaking. So speak a lot. Practice, practice, and practice. Good luck. Thank you very much.